back, Stalin, saying those wonderful, wise words. Welcome to Beyond the Limits with Roland Stewart. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to the listening public, and welcome to Beyond the Limits with Roland Stewart and me, Kwashiba Lafle. And
Hey.
today we're going to have a little discussion. Well, you guys know, like for the last few weeks since I've been here, we've been talking a lot about relationships, and we've been having a lot of conversations surrounding topics related to relationships. So today we're just going to jump in to like understanding the dynamics more of that. So Roland and I are going to have a little chat with you to just to understand relationships a little better. And it's not just about personal relationships, men and women, or the other partner, that kind of thing. It's general relationships across the board, relationships between parents and their children, brothers and sisters, friends, as well as partner relationships, husbands and wives, etc., etc. And of course, we will include some discussions as well of persons with disabilities, because there are a lot of conversations surrounding persons with disabilities and relationships. So Roland, we could start.
hmm well, I just want to say good afternoon to one and all. And it's a very interesting topic, as you say, we'll be following on the heels of the topic from last week. However, it will be a more broader based topic in that, it will be having more, we broaden it more to include not just people with disabilities, but brothers and sisters. Can you remember we are saying things like, in terms of our relationships, if you remember, like last week, we were talking about some people not wanting to clean the yard and the various value systems, what can lead to the breaking up of relationships and that kind of thing. So I trust that we'll have a beautiful topic this afternoon, Kishiba.
Yeah, I think we would. But this is what I would start with. I know that in any relationship, most people want to feel comfortable. Most people want to feel safe. You want to be respected. You want to be treated with a certain level of appreciation and understanding. And a lot of times I have conversations with people. The question comes up is if people with disabilities have normal relationships. And it fascinates me sometimes. It's like, why don't you ask them for yourselves? But because I work with people with disabilities, the question comes to me a lot. And I found, even like Roland and I were talking before the program started, and I was sharing with him, I remember a guy doing an interview with some of my deaf colleagues, and he was asking me how do they interact when they're in a relationship on the sexual level. And I was baffled by the question, because what do you mean? They're just deaf. They're human beings. They're people.
That they carried laugh.
Because it was, but when the way she laughed, I was, what are you talking about? And he had to ask the question 3 times before I actually understood. That's not a smart question to ask. So for me, I want to find out from, like, if you think dating is harder for persons with disabilities because there's a difference there. Do you think that is something that is more challenging? Or I don't know if anyone could help us understand that. But I want to know, because sometimes when questions asked, I want to be able to answer it. So what do you think?
No, what I mean, as somebody with a disability, something probably it all depends on the level of the disability. I guess it will be hard or not. But I mean, for a lot of people, including some of the guys you will know, they go party as usual. I remember we used to go party, Club Parthenon and these kind of places and whatnot. And if you ask me, dating wasn't really a problem. Even relationship wasn't really a problem. For example, like, a woman or a man, it all depends on who the person with the disability. Of course, you're moving around and you're going to fets and that kind of thing. And it was never really, a problem for me. You know what I mean? And for most of the other guys that I know, the fact is if you're in a wheelchair, they already know that you're in a wheelchair.
You're not hiding that.
Exactly, you understand? So if they decide to go out with you, because they know that you're in a wheelchair, or they know that you have that personal disability, it's not just like they didn't know before. And sometimes, people, how to put it, they will like you or even fall in love with you not only just because of whether you have a disability or not. People fall in love for various reasons. You know, they will like your personality. You may be in a wheelchair, you may have a different disability, but they like your personality.
I think there are times when, like you're talking about personality, having conversations with somebody. Because I remember a young lady, she's probably around our age. We were having a conversation many years ago. She's now married to the person, actually. And she said, when we started to talk, I didn't think the person had a disability. She didn't know. They were just chatting, having conversations, normal. And when first time they went out to this restaurant, a place in Chaguanas, and she said, when I realized he was in a wheelchair, I was totally blown away. So I said, so what did you do? She said, initially, I wanted to turn around and walk back. But then I remembered the conversations we were having and how much we just connect. And she said, Gail, I'm glad I went back, and that's my husband now. We get married and thing. And she said they had a really good... They no longer live here though, they live abroad. But they were, and she's one of the persons that I know would have had a really good relationship. My other girlfriend, one of my best friends actually, she's also married to someone with a disability. They've known each other since we were very young, and now they're married. And it was when I asked her, but how it going to work out? I mean, and she gave me a whole lecture, and I should know better. You shouldn't be one of the persons asking that. You should know better. And they really have a extremely awesome relationship, because again, her husband, he has a really nice personality, and he's fun, but his disability causes this degeneration of the muscles, so his legs are not working as it used to before and all of that. But then I asked another question, and she explained that part too, so it was so much fun to listen to her have any conversation. But I think with most people, they believe once you have a disability, it's challenging to start a relationship, because I guess unconscious biases or people with their stigmas of understanding the difference, and they wouldn't look at you as a person in some instances, because we hear stories.
Yeah.
We hear stories.
No, well, then again, too, has to do with the society that you're living in. Because I remember many years ago, right, I used to be dating, that was in Barbados, so. She used to work British Airways, she was a stewardess. But she was, her parents were Bajan.
Okay.
But she was actually English. So she used to come Barbados, like I think once a year, twice a year, just to have time with the parents and that kind of thing, and then she'll go back. And I remember she on the phone, and let me tell you something, she had a beautiful voice. You didn't believe people should run to answer the phone just to hear her ask me on the phone. She had the kind of like feminine, yeskin, masculine. Remember this big time singer? What was his name? Millie Jackson.
Oh.
The one who sing "When Loving You Is Wrong," and the one, that kind of feminine, masculine kind of voice. She had the kind of, can you speak to Roland Stewart, please? She had oh, God. I mean, they said that man, I just feel like it just fall down on the ground. She had a really, really sexy voice. And the thing about it, I remember she asked me on the phone, she said, Roland, I don't know people look at you guys in Trinidad and Tobago, She said, but in England and America and these kind of places, whether you're in a wheelchair, people just see you as just another man.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. It had to do with society.
And I think that goes to my thing of, if we, like the barriers that exist, if it's people who see the barrier, or if a barrier actually really exists. But I know we have to do news. Do we have to go to the news now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, what?
You really I wonder it. You're really, really good.
When the segment's supposed to come from Roland.
But I tell you,
guys give me the segment.
what am I saying?
I
didn't even realize that.
We will be back in just a moment.
This is TTT News on Talk City 91.1 FM.
The excitement of world football ignites with the final VAR. Victories, analysis, reviews, the goals, the calls, the experts are on the ball. The final VAR, live on Thursdays from 8:30 p.m. on TTT and TTT Live Online, starting June 11th.
Bruh, I have a bone to pick with you. You still supporting that side, girl?
Obviously, till the day I die.
But you really think they could win our title again?
You do know we are the defending champions. We have a player that's going to have a fairy tale ending. You do know that we come with a lot of experience and a whole bunch of youngsters.
Yeah, but sentiments don't win your World Cups.
You know what? I'm not having this with you right now. I'll see you on the final bar.
Catch all the action on the Final VAR right here on TTT and TTT Live online from 8:30 p.m. starting Thursday, 11 June 2026.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Ramala Balkaran. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago today. Let's take a look at what's trending this morning.
Every morning in Trinidad and Tobago, a new conversation begins. And right here, we take that conversation further, speaking with the stakeholders and voices behind the stories. From news and lifestyle to culture, health and entertainment, we bring you the topics that matter most as you start your day. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. Watch on TTT or join the conversation from anywhere on your smart device at TNT Today Show, Trinidad and Tobago Today, exclusively on TTT.
The excitement of world football ignites with the final VAR. Victories, analysis, reviews, the goals, the calls, the experts are on the ball. The final VAR, live on Thursdays from 8:30 p.m. on TTT and TTT Live Online, starting June 11th.
Bruh, I have a bone to pick with you.
Back into the conversation on if we think, that disability, what is the barrier? Is it the disability is a barrier or people's perception is a barrier? Because like you were explaining, in many other countries and many, like I remember the first time I went to a conference in Turkey, and I was fascinated that there were a lot of it was a deaf conference. There were medical doctors, psychologists, therapists, police officers, people who were, and they were not born hearing and became deaf. They were born deaf. And they went through the channel of studying and becoming medical doctors and all. And I was fascinated by that because we don't have that type of support here for persons who are deaf or with disabilities to reach that level of education. Wow. And then when you see most of those persons were in relationships with people who were hearing. And for me, it was, the language would have been different as well because it was on a totally different side of the world. So they spoke a different language. Most of them came from countries that were first world countries as well. But they were all, you saw that the relationships they had, even if it was a partner and partner or they were friends, the relationships that they had was so rewarding. And I remember talking to some like girls, I think they were from Ghana. They were there with their brother who was deaf at the time. And when I was asking them, like, is he married? And she said, yes, he has a wife, but she could not come to the conference. And because she could not have come, their parents suggested the two sisters accompany him to the conference to learn more. And they started signing because of him and all of that. And I said, but is his wife deaf? And he said, no, she's a hearing woman. And she learned sign language to communicate with him. So I think for me, the barrier is not the disability, but it's people because of our lack of understanding or the fact that sometimes we just are misinformed, don't have information. I guess more sensitization needs to happen as well. And we need, people like us need to raise more awareness or help raise more awareness surrounding it. Because I believe people with disabilities could have just a normal, quote unquote, relationship like anybody else. You know, I can't see, I can't see where the barriers could exist in relationships at all when it comes to that.
You will see, just remember in those outside countries, one of the reasons why I always say that sometimes a country fortune could be a country's misfortune, and the reason why I'm saying that, in terms of countries like England, all those countries, remember, European countries especially, a lot of these countries in them have been through a lot of wars. And because of the wars, there are a lot of people with disabilities. So then, so from a historical perspective now.
Yeah.
And because of that, whether they wanted it or not, they don't have a choice. They have to cater for people with disabilities.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, just imagine one war. Like, if you remember, there was a time, there was a big brouhaha in America because they had something like about 3,000, double amputees and triple amputees. People who, sometimes from one battle.
Yes.
Yeah,
like in World War II, for instance, sometimes one battle could be like 25,000 people died in one battle.
Right.
In one battle, like if you like the Battle of the Somme.
So it's not
or the
like,
Battle of Verdun.
Yeah.
Something 50,000 people could die in one battle.
That's wow. So I'm hearing that.
You see.
It's then the
and just
percentage
imagine the
of
amount
persons that are disabled in that.
Yes, because remember every war.
You're seeing it.
The
you're
Iraqi
living
war,
it. Yeah.
the whatever the war. There are many people, sometimes 2,000, 3,000 more people that will come back. Disabled people.
But that,
I remember.
I have a question.
Of
but
course.
then, like, based on what you're saying, if we're in a relationship, you go off to war, because sometimes it's young men or men who are already in relationships, but you come back now without your arms or without your legs or with that, how does that, because I'm seeing where that too could be a challenge or that can become a challenge, but then the women or the partners will accept
and
their
it has been a
partners
challenge,
back.
and believe it or not, you just jump forward because now going on that path. To explain to you, I remember there was a story. I was watching a documentary sometime on that, and I remember sad story. I remember there was this guy. He was saying that nice, young, good-looking guy. He was one of the guys who went to war. I can't remember if it was the Iraqi war, one of those wars, and he said that he had bought they had recently married. And he had bought this beautiful diamond ring, big diamond ring, for his wife. And when he went to war, all the nice things, you always see all these big, big talk about, being a hero, an American hero, and you're willing to die for your country and blah, 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 blah. Sometimes the actuality and the reality of the thing is a whole different thing. And he was one of the cases. When he came back from the war, he was totally blind.
Oh.
Good. Okay. And his face was very disfigured too. So he probably, in what you might call local parlance, probably turned out to be an ugly looking person. Because sometimes, according to the blast, I think it was a bomb blast or whatever it might be. So it will have a lot of scars and all of that, and whatever that blinded the guy. And he said when he came home, and the wife saw him, she didn't want to part him. She couldn't believe that her husband came back that way. And he said that she actually took off his ring, the wedding ring, and gave it back to him.
But you know what I'm thinking about as well?
And just before the thing, he said, when they asked him what he did with the ring, he actually took the ring, the diamonds from the ring, and made 2 false eyes for himself.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so his eyes actually, his false eyes,
diamonds.
Actually diamonds.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking of though are persons who, like we have people who become disabled. So you're in a relationship most of your life, but then something happens. Like for instance, people who may have cataract or glaucoma or whatever the ailments may be, or you may get in an accident or something, and then you become disabled. I'm sure there are persons who are in relationships with people like that. It'd be fascinating to find out, like, how that would have been for them as well, because you would have spent most of your life in a relationship with somebody who, was fairly able to move around for themselves, do things on their own, and then now, based on whatever the disability is, you become dependent on other people for that support. For me, I could see, even for that guy, the challenge of it in his head of how it would have affected his self-esteem and as a person, because had she accepted him when he came back knowing this is the scars of war, this is really not who the person is, but it's what he looks like now, but the man who gave you that fancy diamond ring is still that person. So I'm wondering, like, about relationships like that. People who may be in relationships, a relationship normal, but then accident happen, or something happen where the other person is now in a wheelchair, or is now blind, or now has some other type of disability. What happens in relationships like that? How do they cope in relationships like that? I think I'd like to know that. Yeah.
You would like to know that?
Yeah, I want to know that, because for me it's always fascinating to understand things better. And I never thought of, like, what you were saying, like, because of war, and it you could see it happening in truth, because of war-stricken countries, you have to cater for persons with disabilities.
Well, yes, because remember, you have the political aspect of it too. Right. Because, if you don't do it, you're going to look bad. Because, for instance, you have something like, let me say, regardless of what, something like these kind of wars, like World War I, World War II.
Yes.
Sometimes there's thousands of people. Sometimes you can lose like 1 million people in a war.
Oh my God, that the whole of Trinidad.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can't remember the exact thing, but probably could Google it now, as they call it there. Because it's a long time since I've done those history, right? But World War I and World War II, if I remember good, one of those war, I think it was something like 25 million people
I think one of the things
in World War II.
What you're saying fascinated me.
Because for example, when Germany went into Russia under Hitler, right? There was a group, but a squad by the name of the Eisenschlufen. That would be the squad that would move into a country after the Wehrmacht, but the Wehrmacht would be the German army. After the Wehrmacht move into a country, the Eisenschlufen will move in. And most of the officers and all of that, that's not a story. But they just to tell you that sometimes intelligence and education is two different things. And wisdom is two different things. Because most of the officers at the Eisenschlufen attended some of the best universities in Europe. Some of these guys had like two masters, a master's and a degree, 2 degrees. And they weren't dunce people to be in those squads in Germany. And these were some of the same people, I'm just saying this other than aside, these were some of the same people who were putting like over 1 million Slavs in Russia, put them to kneel down and shoot them behind the head. Oh my God. And you're talking about that was over like 1 million Slavs in Russia alone.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I got some interesting information, and it was from World War II.
Right, World War II. What was the...
estimated 70 to 85 million fatalities.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't know it was that many. That's a lot.
That's a lot of people. And then how many persons would have ended up being disabled?
But you could just
as a result of that.
But you could just
so
extrapolate from that figure.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a whole lot. But it's fascinating. Just by you talking about the war of itself.
To me, it feels like it would really shape societies around their relationship to disabilities.
Yes, and then on top of that, to remember too, the places like America, we very backward. I mean, I'm a straightforward talker, so sorry if I say we very backward when it comes to human rights and that kind of thing. I mean, we talk about democracy in this country, but just to quote Eric William again, Eric William always said, and there's something I haven't played, but I always had to remember to play it. Eric William said that democracy doesn't only mean one man, one vote. Which is the kind of they're the kind of democracy politicians like to push in this country, where democracy, they feel because you vote, that is democracy. But what you're voting for?
Right.
You don't just vote just for voting's sake. You're voting because you want better goods and services. That's the reason why. So that's the reason, that the real reason behind voting. Good? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
So-
just
so-
thinking
Want
of
your things. Yeah.
But we get the promises that we'll get the things, and then you vote, and then you don't get the things. So that's another story by itself.
Yes, it is.
You know,
So in short, I agree with Dr. Eric Williams that voting means more than one man, one vote. Right? Democracy also means, democracy means more than one man, one vote. Democracy also means equal opportunity for all. Those were the words that Eric Williams back in, I want to believe, 1962, when he was giving the independence speech. Good. And if every party across the board and every politician in Parliament has that concept of what real democracy is, not the democracy, well, one man, one vote. No. That is not really democracy. That is
equality
democracy.
and equity across the board, because it's like understanding we could be equal, but you wouldn't have the access of some of the things I might have. So equity is very important
course.
as well, for it to be fair.
And you wouldn't
across the
believe
board, which is very
when
important.
I interviewed how they call him here, he was conscious of that. He mentioned that. Earl Fabian.
Equity is
Yeah,
very,
Earl
very
Fabian was
important.
here just about 2 weeks ago.
So we know normally in our
And he mentioned
environment we
that.
say that equality. but
Equity. Equality is one thing,
Yeah.
Equity is not equality.
And it goes back to even relationship setting, where people would say in a relationship we really need to be equal in a relationship. And you hear it all the time, equal this, equal that. But is it equality we want, or we want equity in a relationship? You know, and it goes back to us understanding like the qualities you might look at for in somebody that you want to be in a relationship with. Because for me, right, like how I asked the question before, if it have to boil down to an accident or something happens and you end up with a disability, I want to know that the partner I'm choosing, even though you may not never know that, but I'm hopeful that the partner I choose would be somebody who, if that does happen to me, they're not going to just leave you because you see that I can't handle that. Because he was looking cute all the time, and now I have to. I'm hoping, and similarly, that if that happens to them, I would stay there and support them, because that's the commitment in relationships, you know, to be supportive of each other, to have each other's back, that kind of thing. So I think, for most people, and I'm hopeful that young people are paying attention to things like that, just being aware of what actually you really have to look for, or what qualities are important to you and a partner. Because even with friendships, I'm very, very particular with people who I have as my friends. And I have more male friends than female friends for a specific reason. Because I think me connecting with guys, we have a better understanding than me trying to connect with women. But my female friends and I, we love each other to death. You know, and if anything happens, do you have them there to support you? Similarly, I'm there to support them. So I think in all relationships, it's important for us to pay attention to that, the qualities of an individual, because we can make bad choices.
Nobody see, I mean, almost every day, I keep telling people that here. Because what you're saying there is very real. That you never know where you can end up. I mean, you travel on the roads every day. And you don't know. I don't care. You could feel you're Mario Andretti. Good. Yeah, but you could be the best driver on the road. But I've said it here more than once. If not good, it's not how good you driving, you know. It's how
Other
good
people-
the other people driving.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And case in point, I don't know if you remember, just probably 2-3 months ago, there was a guy going down, I think the Southern Highway, the Solomon Hookjoy Highway, and there was a kind of almost final destination accident. You remember that?
Situation? No.
Where the whole wheel actually flew off the
and
black
he ran across.
Hilux. You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh,
And the man lost his life.
Yeah.
So he was minding his business, you know.
Oh,
He was
yes,
driving
coming down
good,
the
going
other
down the
side.
way.
Yeah.
And the other guy just actually left the lane with his Hilux like van and crossed the median
Cause the
and killed
medium,
him.
yeah.
And I think the wife, I'm not sure if she ended up paralyzed, I stand corrected, but I know she was seriously injured. And this is the case in point. You've seen it on the roads every day. You know, but people
I know I was gonna say I actually am always so scared for persons who are just walking on the highway. And I'm like, you all realize that this is a huge vehicle that literally is just passing you, and it's the difference between your life or death. It just, if just one slip, you know.
Yes, and that's the reason why I always say that
Just
society supposed to, I mean, if you number one, if you believe in democracy, right? Number one, everybody wants human rights and everybody want to be respected, everybody, but yet still, you ignore the fight and the struggle and the things for the equality, not the equality, but equity for people with disabilities.
Because it didn't fall in your garden.
You-
That's
the-
one reason.
Yet.
Sorry.
Yet,
Plain talk,
yet. Is it because you could fall in garden many? I mean, but there's something, as I've said before, I have spent, and in answer to her, I have spent about 5 or 6 years in a rehab center. The rehab, well, we take therapy, rehab center, yes. FISMED, that is in St. James Central Medical Complex, back in the 80s. And I had the benefit of observing what the relationship lasts. Some lasted, and I've seen various. One was a gymnast, and he's a very fit guy. You know, he used to be John High Flyers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, John High Flyers. Matter of fact, they used to teach it from the military. You know, in military, had tattoo on them kind of thing. You know, the gymnast kind of. He was one of the guys who used to train them. A very fit guy. He had everything. Nice car, RX2, this, that. And one of the unlucky days, he had already finished training, and the partners came back to train, and he went back to train. And he made like a double or triple flip and landed like more on his bottom.
Oh, no.
He didn't clear it now. When he's supposed to land his feet, he landed like between his feet and his bottom. And with that, he got like a whiplash. His spinal cord did like that. And the sad thing about it, people, is that all he could have moved after that was his head.
Oh, my gosh.
He could move his shoulders, nothing at all. And he was like
He's
that
really
for about,
paralyzed from the neck down.
from his neck down. And he was like that for about 8 years until he died.
Wow.
Yeah, so believe it or not, I've seen it.
Oh, was he
all-
married? And he was married?
He was married, but he was with a nice girl. He had a child about 2 years old. And all of that too. Sometimes, you get injured, and sometimes you get injured and your children are very young. 2 years, 3 years old.
So they
and-
don't know you outside of the injuries, what you're saying?
No, I mean, they might have known you before you get injured, because I mean, a child, let me say, 3, 4, 5 years old, would have been cognizant of their father
Right,
before
right.
the injury. But in terms of you supporting your child, and imagine, I've seen that. There's another guy, he, on his job, something fell and hit him on his head, I think, construction.
Yeah.
And if you're
Freak
construct,
accidents.
yeah, if you're in construction, these things are very likely to happen.
Yeah.
And all of this, I'm telling people, do not feel that because it just hasn't happened to you yet.
Right.
Because it just hasn't happened to you yet. Yeah, this guy, I tell you, something fell and hit him in his head. And he never really came back. Sometimes people, and it was so hurtful, even to me. They had about 3 children, and young children, probably one about 9, one about 5, one like about 4. And when these things happen to you, and you can't really, see after your children.
Right, interact with them.
Yeah, because, eventually they will declare you medically unfit.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was so hurtful that sometimes his children come to see him. And sometimes he wouldn't even recognize his own children because of the brain injury.
The injury.
Something like, what? What talking to? What talking to? That kind of way. I've heard. I mean, these are things that I witnessed, I'm telling you. Right there, another guy from Barataria. He was working on, remember Wimpy? They were the construction firm that, if my memory serves me well, that built the financial complex.
Sound like he's 80 years, eh?
I know, right? The information.
Wow.
Yeah, I was wrong. Obviously, I'm only 58 years. I might sound that older.
You just have a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, 58 years old. Good. I'm not 70 or anything. My memory is very good. Still moving around. Wimpy was very popular, They built, I remember they built the financial complex. They built Park Plaza. At one time when you Port of Spain, all you only used to be seeing is these hard yellow hats. That what they call a hats there.
Yeah.
These hard hats, these construction workers. You see that whole part of Spain, wimpy build this, wimpy build. And memory serves me well, they were the ones who were building the financial complex. And one of the guys from Bartaria, and just share something, the consequences of other people's actions. He was working on a scaffolding. I don't want to call his name, of course, but I remember his name very well. I was on this bed and he was on that bed. And he was working on a scaffolding about 30-something feet high up in the air. And somebody now above him on another scaffolding kicked off a concrete block.
What?
And the concrete block falling, the weight that coming down with.
Yeah.
And knock him off of the scaffolding.
Oh my goodness.
And he ended up paralyzed. Good. Had a wife, had a child, at least I remember good. And he was paralyzed. He's paraplegic now. Very strong arms. He's a guy, tall, strapping guy, about 6'2", 6'3". And then eventually, I don't know, he was discharged or whatever. And the next thing you know, I heard he passed on. So all the people that that are listening to me, you see, the listening here, I'm trying to let people know. And I always keep saying it here, that tomorrow you're here and you don't know where you are.
And that's what I'm saying too.
And it doesn't matter what kind of job you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have. There are various reasons you could end up in a wheelchair or end up disabled.
Yeah, because
one was a
accidents
jockey.
happen, things happen.
Right? The other guy by the name of Diorica. He was in the bed next to me.
Yeah.
He was a jockey.
Yeah.
Good. Deep sea diving. First time I heard about bends. If
Oh,
bends could kill you,
Yes.
And if it
Yeah,
doesn't,
be
you're
so
in a
careful.
paralyzed. Yeah, there was a guy from Deep South, I think Faisabad or somebody. All these guys were bed right next to me at some time or the other. Yeah, Benz. Sometimes we said nickname him Bubbles. Because what he said, treating people always find some nickname for you. And the reason why is because the reason why people, when you end up in a wheelchair, you sort of complain, became a deep sea bubbles, under the water. But he's always complained that right through his bloodstream, right through his body, he sort of feel like bubbles now, floating through his body. He's always complain about that. And people will find some nickname.
That is creative.
They call him bubbles, but that was a very bothersome thing for him. That was many years. I mean, that would have been the 80s, late 80s. I don't know if he's still alive. If he's alive, he might be in his late 80s by now.
But probably
because you'd be 42. And you believe I was lineman on the promenade. When I had my motorized chair, I used to be always in town. And there was a guy, we just struck up a conversation. And he turned out to be a deep sea diver. And he was going to work. And then the man changed his mind. We just happened to be talking just like that. And he asked me, he said, "Oh, you got injured?" And I told him, "No, I broke my neck and blah, 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 blah." And then we from one conversation to the other one. And then, we end up on Ben's deep sea diver. He turned out to be a deep sea diver that was going to work.
And he decided
And based on
not
the
to go.
conversation, he tell the partner, "She boy, she be, I think I'm going to work again."
Scary, man.
He said, "Boy, I going home, boy, me going to work here." He said, "Boy, what you think I should do, boy? You think I should go to work?" I said, "Boy, to tell you the truth, that is up to you. That is up to you, I said, "But for my own advice, what I could tell you is, if your mind tell you, they always say good to follow your mind.
Yeah, true.
If your mind tell you don't go to work, don't go to work. I mean, you just lost a day pay. Because sometimes life's strange, I say something, you could be going to work and you go to work, and something to you, they turn and tell people, boy, I was up there, boy, and I tell them I was going home. I don't know, I try to write them. So sometimes it's always good to follow your mind. You see? And this is the message here. So based on what you're saying, Kashiba, to be back to the conversation is, right, in terms of relationships, you never know when people have to they have to prepare themselves.
But then
that
how
is
do you prepare for
always...
that?
Huh?
How you prepare yourself for that?
I think it's a mindset.
I'm not gonna say that, yeah.
Of an emotional intelligence as well, because that is something you don't know what it's going to be if it happens at all.
And I mean, you
Might
could never
manifest.
really be sure what, I mean, you might
But
say,
you must ask those-
you might say you love your man or you love your woman,
You
and
really?
blah, 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 blah.
I think things like that
From-
tests
Yes.
Yes,
the
they do.
boundaries
It's
of a
only
relationship.
when you are I mean, I observe it. I've seen it many occasions. In
Right.
this particular case with the gymnast, right? Eventually, the lady she went away, right? Yeah, I remember she used to come big belly. She had another man. Eventually, blah blah blah, and then she stopped coming after a while because I guess she decided to move on.
Yeah.
I'm just telling my observation.
Right.
But in my book, she was really a good woman. If you ask me,
Because she stick around and
she was
supported
around
him
at
through
least for
the
about
challenge.
5 years and that kind of thing. And then eventually,
No, I was going to say, and you also have to consider the person who now is disabled.
Yeah.
Their personality, they might have changed. They might become bitter. So it's not just about, well,
in
are
some
you willing to stay?
in some cases, but in his case, I don't think so. He was all the
Some
same
people
kind of
better
person.
without even having a disability.
Thank you.
They just as a misuse they're dealing with, and
Right.
again, they're the most grumpy, unkind people you could think of. And nothing else wrong with them, they just have a bitter mindset.
So, fortunately, from my observation, being there within the 5-6 years, there were some who were fortunate. The wife or the woman stayed with them, and then there were those that were unfortunate. We often,
As in any other relationship with persons without
and what I could say is that
disabilities.
you can only know when it happens to you.
Yeah, which I agree.
Yeah.
But I can see what you're saying too, because there are people who, when it happened, like that guy I was talking about, the German guy, whatever, had he come home with the expectation of the woman staying with him, and then she decided, I can't be with you again. Look, you're not looking the same way. You're not the same man who went off the war, whatever. He could have turned out to be some kind of bitter, angry person, or relationships
Right.
are horrible, whatever. But then probably he would have met somebody who is amazing, treated him well, and understood that his face is one part of it.
Yeah.
The scars came from something, So I could see what you're saying of some people could be better, because I could see somebody, because I'm so used to doing things on my own, moving around, having a life.
Yeah.
They would not see the steps beyond that. They'll just be stuck in their head of what I used to be like before, who I was before now. And now I am stuck in a chair, or now I can't see, or now I can't move as I used to. So I could see them being very angry. And for some people in relationships, they may tolerate it, and some may like, you know what, I don't have the energy for this. So it may seem like to somebody looking in from on the outside, but they just broke up, or just because the person ended up with a disability because of the accident, the man or the woman left they left the person. But it sometimes is because of the mentality of the individual themselves who has the disability that would cause people to not be in a relationship with you. Because like you said, a disability is just a disability, is not who you are, or says what your personality is, or it just tells me you have a disability,
Because I remember a person that I know, I can say very well, and that person did a very good job. When the person ended up with a disability, he was a paraplegic. I mean, unfortunately, I understood that the person's wife committed suicide.
Wow.
And they had 2 children.
Wow.
Because, obviously, the wife couldn't handle that.
Wow. So not the person with the disability, but
No.
the wife.
Yeah.
Wow.
Going
See,
back to
that's why
mental health.
mindset
Yeah,
is
mental
huge.
health. That's a big thing. Your mindset, and like we saying, it's not something you can plan for, but when it does happen, then you have to. Most of the times, like in any part of life, your mindset have, like for me, I usually say every 5 years in a relationship, you do an assessment of the relationship to see where we at in our relationship. Even if it's a friendship, how good are we still 5 years down the road? And after you pass a certain amount of time, we could do it every 10 years. We check in on, okay, where are we in this relationship now?
I like that.
Yeah, so that's me. That's my personal thing. Every 5 years, we do a little check-in. And then after a while, if you pass 10, 15 years, I have relationships with people 20 years, 30 years. We're friends. So we do a little check-in and determine where we at. And sometimes you'd realize why I want is something totally different from what you want now. So we might just have to move on. It might hurt, but you have to do it. So...
We have a caller.
Oh, sure.
Hello, you're live.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon to you,
afternoon,
sir. Good afternoon to you.
Is the WhatsApp number too?
Yes,
I
it
want to
is.
believe so, yes.
For
Okay,
text, for
I've been
text.
trying a while, but
It's still
the subject
texting?
interesting.
Well, it's for
Now
texting.
people who
But
become
I told you
different
to make
labels
calls.
is a few challenges. Is either you accept or you agree and you die. You don't have much spin off between that. You accept your position, you work towards being a better person and you strive forward. If not, you grieve the things that you can't do anymore and other things like that. With sexuality concerns, we few of us who still can and are capable of because most persons are on status and different elements so they enable to. But from my experience, my life has been very nice so far. You know, I mean, after something, you know, ups and downs just like everything else.
Yes, because I know the person who's talking, and I know that you're in a relationship. You understand? For you, so you could afford. How long?
About 15 years now.
About 15 years now, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you're the person in a wheelchair, and I mean, you have a dedicated wife. And even being in a wheelchair, you recently had a child. All right, and I mean, congratulations.
I have a 6-year-old and she'll be 2 months and
Yeah, so me, you're the good person to talk on the air about that, about your experiences or whatever you want to say.
Does your wife have a disability as well? Or?
No.
No,
He was
okay,
able body wife. But he's a guy in a wheelchair. He wasn't always in a wheelchair, but he ended up in a wheelchair.
But I don't know how much I have on this. I don't know how much money I remain on this.
All right, well, here we go. You're going. If
Right,
anything, probably
we met more or less very organic, right? Because the person who I was with her for about 5-6 years. Right? She started to act up and stuff, and then we separated. I met my present wife, so I met her in the hospital. She was wondering why I was married and my wife not there helping me and stuff like that. We had a conversation. The driver named me took her number from me, you know. And my phone ended up mashing up. She ended up calling me the Monday. It was about 3 days she'd been calling me. And we just conversated. We were spending for about 3 months before we actually get involved in anything.
How long have you guys been together?
About 15 years now.
Okay, great. Nice.
Yes, so there's a lot of conversations. You have a lot of conversations.
Right.
You have to have an understanding. There's a lot of reciprocity to it. So to answer the young lady in the studio now, forget him down.
Kwashiba. If it's me you're talking about, because I have 2 young ladies here.
Oh,
yeah, the phone cut off.
Unfortunately. Now, yeah, I'm talking and I'm not on the mic. I was trying to get the WhatsApp
up
to be on. Yes, and so it should be on in a few seconds, but
right. So we can receive calls because also.
Yes, he can call back now. If he wanted to on the WhatsApp or anyone else, that would be 394-4911.
Yes, so as we said, if you're listening, right, 394-4911. We are taking calls on the WhatsApp.
All right, he is. Let's try this. It's a first time for everything. Hold on. Accept.
Answer on the phone.
Yeah, apparently. Hold on. Well, part of a comment that he made. Oh wait, I'm hearing me. Something. All right, we're gonna try this one more time. The point that I want to give is that I'm hearing me. Hold on, folks. All right, for whatever reason, it is not answering on my end. Someone would have to show me because I'm doing it. I'm pressing it. Oh, wait, hold on. It has answered. Hello?
Yeah, funny. After
We hear the voice.
Well,
Yeah, you're hearing me.
I wonder about the abrupt cut off, right?
Yeah.
But as I was saying,
We hear you now.
A lot of communication, right? There's a lot of communication and a lot of mutual understanding you gotta come to because remember, you still have limitations. And then it's what kind of lifestyle of living, you understand? What kind of spirituality you're dealing with. You understand? Because it's a lot. It's a lot. It's not easy because remember, I mean, I don't want to sound that kind of way, but she was told by her father, out of the whole of China and Tobago, you couldn't find a man walking. You understand?
Wow.
But
Chinese.
we still made it work. We still made it work because it was always a genuine thing, right? And it had a lot of conversations. It wasn't just so. So people feeling this thing is just so now, and they're just rushing into stuff, and people with desperation involved, loneliness involved, all these kind of things involved, and they're just looking for companionship and all these guys, and out here different now, out here real different. So I just still give praise and thanks, that I still get a play in the life because most of us who differently able, we're not even given a chance by society. You understand? For less for a companionship and a person who willing to understand your limitations, work with you and deal with you that kind of way too. Because it's not easy. Because people just really look down upon you. Because you're not getting an opportunity to be employed, you're not getting an opportunity to be contribute to this little rock that you love too. So you're just forced to stay and try to fight and live and be a magician on a grant. And that person really has to genuinely care for you, I tell you.
Yes,
so,
because the ministry...
all the little material or that thing else, them thing is just, you understand? And we so blessed too. I just say I'm not lucky. I was never a lucky person, but I'm very blessed. But she got her first child at the age of 38. You understand? And she thought she couldn't make any children. So and then become and get us another child. It's not like we trying or nothing, you understand? But we did the responsible thing for we age-able persons and tie off and whatnot. You understand? But at the end of the day, we are human beings too, Roland, right? And we trying to live fulfilled lives too, just like everybody else. Whether you become disabled or you're born disabled. Everybody got different challenges in the position and the ability now.
Respect.
You have to check your diet, you have to know your God, check your diet and just try to live and do good as you could, as long as you could now. You understand? Whatever cards you dealt with, you deal with it. Because it's like not easy for different disabled people. People feel you just lie down home when you're receiving money and you living nice. You're not living nice. It's a challenge, it's a struggle. And you most time, I can't talk for other people, but most times you balancing between studying, for me, studying to see what my children or deciding to pay a rent.
Yeah.
You understand?
Wow.
Yeah.
So I not gonna watch my children undone to pay a rent. I sorry, sometimes I gotta skip and do what I gotta do and dance around and try to catch up and do what I gotta do. But it's not easy, Jed.
And the thing about
society, society, it come like everything again say just fighting an uphill battle. So you just gonna struggle until your demise. Because society don't even the state don't even expect you to live beyond 60 as a different label person. So Roland, you had 2 more years before they count you out as a non-member of society. You understand?
Nice one.
But thanks for sharing, Thanks for sharing.
Thank you very much,
it's
man.
Nice to hear from somebody who...
As always, a very valuable contribution, man, from you, man.
Thanks for sharing with us.
Love and respect.
All right, thank you very much, bro.
It's nice hearing the contribution from somebody who actually lived in the experience. Like I said, I wanted to know. And I'm glad that I do know. And there's things that he said that you wouldn't even be thinking about in the sense of the struggles of it, because most people with disabilities really not employed. And how you manage now, even as men in particular, because men have a deeper struggle than women, because they have all these expectations on men.
The expectations.
So it's like he has a family to take care of, a wife, and the expectations there. how does that mess with your mental health? So as you were saying, mindset is very important as well. So thanks for sharing, caller. Thanks for calling and sharing that with us.
Yeah, we're just about to end the program. So any last words anybody would like to say?
I'm happy that the person called and shared their personal experience with us, and I think like I said, this is a conversation we could carry on for days.
Yes,
because of the type of
It cannot
conversation
be a one.
it
It
is.
cannot
It's
be
not
a one
one-off
program.
kind of thing. So we definitely will continue the conversation another time.
But since you started the program, you are the end of it.
Oh, what do I end and say? Thank you guys so much for listening.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to end the program now. Do I say that? Am I supposed to? And we want to thank you guys so much for listening to the caller. Thanks so much for calling in and sharing your experience. And Roland definitely will be with you again tomorrow. So have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
What, like you're looking to take my job?
I tell you. Good, yeah.
Very good, very good, very good. You're a very nice man.
Something like about 10 years we didn't put it together, but seems to remember this.